YouTube! What's good, guys? It's your boy T, and I'm back again with another video for Fantasy Good Sports, guys. And today's video is going to be on your top 12 stashes for your fantasy football playoffs, guys. Make sure you stash these guys, because these guys could hit in your fantasy football playoffs, and we're trying to play for the boom. The safe don't get you a fantasy football championship. The boom does. And Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Big Mac from the Fantasy Headliners. You can check me out on X or Twitter, whichever one you call it, at Mac Galloway 34.
Yes, guys, you know me and Matt always do videos. We do fire videos together, so I always bring them on when I can. So let's begin with no further ado, guys. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. This is cutting edge content. Also, guys, if you need help with your fantasy football championship playoffs, make sure you get a consultation from me. All you gotta do is go to my website or hit me up at fantasygoodsports@gmail.com, and you get 30 minutes, guys. But if you sign up as a Phenom Crew member, you get your first consultation free, and everyone after that is half off, $20. That's a $20, that's a $40 value, but you're getting it for $20, guys, for the rest of the season. So let's begin. Go ahead, Mac. You start your guys off.
All right. So my first stash player for the playoffs, I want to go with Jalin McLaughlin from the Denver Broncos. So we all know Sean Payton's, reputation of using split backfields. Well, Jalil, in my opinion, has moved above Samaje. He's been getting around 5 targets a game and stuff like that. Now I know that might not seem like a lot, but going forward, you want a piece of the offense, because the offense has changed and turned around. So they're actually starting to be fantasy viable. So in my opinion, you want a guy like that, stash him, put him on your bench, because in the event, Lord forbid, if anything does happen to Williams, now you got an RB1 that you can plug and play every week. So I like Jalil McLaughlin.
I like Jalil. I still think Samaje is getting some work where you can even start him on a bye week, especially like next week, because you're going to have some guys on the bye.
Right.
But I do believe that Jalil is more explosive than any of those running backs, including Javonte. So I believe that you can start him in a tight spot, especially if anything happens to Javonte.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this video is about too. I mean, we ain't trying to hope for no injury, but anything can happen, right?
Exactly.
So that's what the main thing about the stash. Okay, guys, my first guy that I believe that you should be stashing, and I talked about this guy also in my last video that I did for as guys that could be league winners, but I also believe this guy's a stash too, especially if you're in like an 8-team or 10-team league. Or you could be in a 12-team league, because this guy's probably on your waivers, but it's OBJ. Yes, guys, Odell Beckham. Listen, I believe with Mark Andrews going down, I believe that OBJ is going to get more targets. And the reason why is, guys, he's finally coming off them knee injuries that he's had in the past, and he's looking more explosive downfield. And him and Lamar is getting on the same page. He could have had a bigger game. Lamar missed him by a little bit on a deep play. So they working on it, especially with Mark Andrews being out. So I think Lamar's going to have better pass numbers with Mark Andrews out, because I believe that they need to target the outside wide receivers to take this team to the next level, because you're not just going to win getting short passes to Zay Flowers every time, or trying to give it to Gus Ellis or Keaton Mitchell. I think they're going to have to push the ball downfield on the outside of the hashes. So, guys, I love OBJ. Stash this guy. I believe he could be a league-winning guy for you. He could be a number 3 or a flex play for you in your leagues.
All right, so my next player is Keke Coutee, tight end for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So, the tight end landscape is already just desolate as it is. You got a few more bye weeks coming up, so he could plug and play in any given situation. But my main thing is, I like how Baker Mayfield is using him within this offense. He's kind of like a safety blanket for Baker. Actually, he led the team in receiving touches last week. Or receptions, I should say. So anytime you can get a guy like that, and he's still lowly on the waiver wires throughout all platforms, that's a guy you might want to take a look at. And like I said, going forward, he can be used as Baker's safety blanket. So you want to have a guy like that in your playoffs, somebody you can plug and play, in your tight end, or maybe even in your flex position, depending on your scoring.
Right. I love Keke. I've been talking about Keke for the last 4 weeks. And he's had some good weeks and he has some down weeks, but I still feel like he's safe at the tight end spot.
Yes.
Because you ain't got to have 15, 20 points at the tight end spot. If somebody give you 8 points, that's going to keep you in there, keep you where you can win instead of giving you a dud, right? He hasn't gave a dud up in a long time. So I believe this guy's a safe play. All right, guys, my next guy that I believe is a great stash for your fantasy football playoffs is Rico Dowdle. Yes, guys, Rico Dowdle. And the reason why I love Rico Dowdle, guys, is because Tony Pollard hasn't been playing that good. He's been solid. He's been okay. So if anything happens as far as injury, we all know that for any position, but if an injury happens, Rico is going to get a lot of that work, at least 70% of that work. Also, guys, they want to save Tony Pollard for the playoffs. They don't want to overuse him. So when they get ahead in some of these weaker matchups, Rico's going to be coming in there in the fourth quarter and getting some of those what I call honey touches around the goal line. And all you need him to do is fall in for one and catch a few passes. And he's a great he's a great guy to play even though he's not getting that many snaps. So I love Rico, guys. Make sure you pick up and stash him. Again, stashing guys is also like a handcuff move. If anything happens to the starter, you got this guy getting 75% of the snap load. Everybody's not a good stash that's a handcuff. Some guys are not going to get that work. Some guys, if the starter gets hurt, they're going to split it. But Rico, he ain't splitting it with Deuce Vaughn. He's going to get a majority of that work. So make sure you stash Rico down.
Yeah, I like.
He could be a league. Yeah, he could be a league winner if anything happens to Tony Pollard too.
Agreed. And so to kind of follow that flow that you're talking about with the handcuffs, or potential handcuffs, I want to talk about Jerick McKinnon. So I feel like with the violent way that Pacheco runs, it's one of those things where running backs who run violently north and south like that have a tendency to get banged up and could potentially go out, right? Mm-hmm. Even if he doesn't, I think Jerick McKinnon is going to be used as a pass-catching weapon going forward. They did it last season. The last 5 or 6 games in the season, Jerick McKinnon's uptick in targets increased. Andy Reid's been known to do that, with his pass-catching weapon. CEH is going to be, shoveled in here and there. But Jerick McKinnon, Pat Mahomes trusts him. Mm-hmm. Andy Reid trusts him. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and stash him away now, early enough, so when that time does come, because they're going to need more pass-catching weapons going forward. Travis Kelce, if he has a bad game, who they going to lean on? It's not many people that they can actually lean on and depend and trust. So Jerick McKinnon, in my opinion, is one of those guys that going forward, he could be a waiver wire gem, so you want to go ahead and stash him away and get him right now.
They definitely trust him, and he was a league winner last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he was absolutely a league winner last year. Again, you don't got to be the top #1 Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type to be a league winner. All you got to do is go off in the playoffs, and you could be a league winner. You just got 4 good weeks the whole season. If you do that, you would never forget that player. I'm gonna tell you that now. What's one of your players, man, from the Jets or something? You told me. Help you get to your
Elijah Mitchell.
Was Elijah Mitchell? No.
No. Yeah, Elijah McGuire. That's it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so you never forget these players.
And Robbie Anderson.
Anderson. Mm-hmm. Right. So, guys, my next guy's a wide receiver is from the New Orleans Saints. It's Rashard Higgins. And again, this is another guy that I've been talking about all year, and he's also been in my previous videos. But this guy's probably out there on your waivers. Michael Thomas just went down. He's probably going to be on IR, and he might not be relevant for the rest of this season. So I'm picking up Rashard Higgins. Reason why, he's great in special teams, so you can get a special teams touchdown. I know that's only 6 points, but in my league, you get those yards too. But you can get Rashard from special teams points. Also, he's also running shorter routes now. He's going to have to because they don't have anybody else to do that. So, guys, I like Rashard. And then also with the pushing the ball downfield, I think he's a better deep threat than Chris Olave. I think Chris Olave is better in the slot. And then if Jameson plays, you already know that he's going to try to hit Rashard deep. Mm-hmm. So, guys, I think Rashard is a must start every week, even though people consider him maybe a bye week replacement. I don't believe he's a bye week replacement. I believe he's a top 24 type wide receiver with boom potential to be top 12. So make sure you stash Rashard if he's out there on your waivers, or if he's on your team, stash him.
Yeah, that's a good player, good pick. So my next player is Kenneth Gainwell. And the reason why I went with Kenneth is because, again, he's another player that's typically not highly owned in most formats. And then also you got to look at the offense that he's a part of. Again, we don't wish any injuries or anything like that, but we understand how that happens, especially with running backs and with a team that runs the ball frequently. Kenneth Gainwell is one of those hybrid type guys that he can also run north and south, but typically he's more of a lateral type not wide receiver, but lateral type running back, mm-hmm. and he can get a lot of catches out of the backfield. So again, especially if you're a DeAndre Swift owner, you definitely want to go ahead and grab Kenneth Gainwell, especially now going into the playoffs. So Kenneth Gainwell is one of those guys that I would look at. If he's out there on your waiver wires, go ahead and snatch him up.
Right, I agree 100%. I love Kenneth Gainwell, and he's a must-have stash handcuff guy because DeAndre Swift is so volatile.
Exactly.
Right. So my next guy, guys, is a guy that I was on from the beginning of the year. I thought this guy had a chance to be top 5. I admit this. I'm not even gonna cap. But I think this guy's extremely talented, but I think the offense is just different, and they don't really need him like this. But it's Johan Dawson. Now listen, Sam Howell is putting the ball in the air 40 times a game. 40 times a game, 40 times a game, 40 times a game. And so when you putting the ball in the air 40 times a game, I'm willing to play good players or elite players that's as far as talent-wise on that team. I think Terry McLaurin and Johan Dawson need to be started, and Logan Thomas, because Sam Howell is passing the ball a lot, and he's a decent passer as a second-year quarterback. So, guys, I like Johan Dawson. You just put him in the flex and let whatever the chips fall, you be good with it. I'm not telling you to go and trust this guy over a starter like a DK Metcalf or somebody like that, but I believe that Johan Dawson is, if you're trying to stream a guy, you don't know who to play at a flex spot, you in a bye week or when you're fantasy football playoffs and you need to pick somebody up off of waivers because of an injury, Johan Dawson can come in there and you can end up getting 20 points or you might get 5 points. I'm okay with that. That's how I play. I play boom or bust in my flex spots because that's how you win weeks. You're not going to win with your flexes going for 12 and 12. But if one of your flexes go for 40 or 35, you already going to probably win that week. So that's why I like playing boom guys. And Johan Dawson is one of the best boom guys out there with this offense with Eric Bieniemy putting the ball in the air 40 times a game.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to stay with that actual squad, man, and go with my next player, and that's Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson, he hadn't fulfilled what we expected, most fantasy analysts, expected from him within this EB offense. But now we're starting to see it to come, to leak through. Just like TD was saying, with Sam Howell putting the ball up so much, he's got these pass catching weapons that he trusts, and Antonio Gibson is one of those guys. Now, again, just watch, because I know he's got a little nagging toe injury right now. But, again, go ahead and stash him away. Put him on your bench if he's available, because when he does play, he's a key part of this offense going forward. And I believe you're going to have that, or you want to have a piece of that offense, just like TD was saying. With Sam Howell putting the ball up in the air so many times, you need a piece of that offense, and I love Antonio Gibson.
Right, I love Antonio Gibson. I mean, that's one of the best. You know how every year it's a fantasy offense who the team is not that good, but they passing the hell out of the ball.
Right.
And you getting a lot of boom potential off certain guys on that team. And I believe that's what Washington is. Brian Robinson. I mean, I don't know how on Brian Robinson, but he's putting up some big weeks because of the passing value of the EB offense.
Exactly.
So sometimes you got to go to a team that's going to be trailing, and those are the honey guys. Those are the guys that you like to play because they're going to be down every game and going to be pushing, where you might have a front-loaded team and they might sit the fourth quarter. And I made a video on that. Guys that are potentially could be on a limited snap count in your fantasy football playoff. Be careful. I like guys on where Washington, they're going to play their young players all the way throughout. So don't be surprised if some of these guys outplay some of the studs. All right, guys, I'm going on to my next guy. And this guy's a wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, and it's Jameson Williams. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you the reason why I think you should be stashing Jameson Williams. This team is built off a strong run game and Amon-Ra in the slot. If you want to take that away, you have to bring the safeties in the box. So in order to beat that, even with Amon-Ra being good, you're going to have to push the ball downfield at times. If not, Jared Goff is going to turn the ball over. So the next step and next phase, that's how I do my content. That's why I always talk about cutting edge. In order for the team to beat the teams that they're going to face in the playoffs or in your fantasy football playoffs, you got to push the ball downfield to back up. Let Amon-Ra get some room. Let Jahmyr Gibbs get some room. Let David Montgomery get some room. So I think Jameson Williams can have 1 or 2 big plays a game and end up being a league winner. How many times, Matt, you seen this guy who is this guy? He sucked all year and he hit for a big play, and then you be like, man, he beat me with Jameson Williams, man.
Absolutely. Happens every year.
So that's why you want to have a guy like a Jameson Williams. And if, like I said, if you got a flex play where you can play a matchup guy, you're like, who should I play? You know what? I might get a little bit cute right here. I'm going to put Johan Dawson. No, matter of fact, no, I'm going to put Jameson Williams. Those are how you win. If you go and try to be safe, Deontay Foreman going to give me 8 points. I'm going to put Deontay right there. You know, all right? Okay.
You're going to mess up.
Right.
Yo, so my last player that I want to talk about that you want to stash away and have him for your fantasy playoffs. That's Elijah Moore. So Elijah Moore, to me, again, is kind of like another type of safety blanket, so to speak, for this rookie quarterback that
DTR.
they got. DTR. And again, Cleveland is the type of offense. They're just like Pittsburgh. They're just like Baltimore. They run first, right? Defense wins ball games typically. That's what Cleveland has done. That's why they've been successful this season with a revolving door at quarterback. But I think Elijah Moore is going to be one of those guys, like I said, that they're going to use him in that short area game underneath the zone. He's been getting 7 targets a game for the past couple of games, so that's pretty good, especially for a receiver.
Right.
So he's one of those guys I think you can go ahead and get. Like I said, he's lowly owned in most formats, around about 35-40%. You can go ahead and probably get him. If he's out there anyway wise, just stash him away. And like I said, he could be used as a flex play, wide receiver 3, something like that. So I really like Elijah Moore going forward.
Right. I like this whole team, man. I think this team is evolving. So, yeah, David Njoku is not a guy that you can stash because he's picked up. Yeah. But David Njoku and Elijah Moore, guys that can go get open underneath, is the guys that you want to target when you're playing against DTR because he's a young quarterback. So he's going to want to get the ball out fast. Amari Cooper probably going to be the most guy who's going to be affected and be hurt by this.
Yeah,
because DTR is not experienced enough to know how to push the ball downfield to him.
Right.
So. All right, so guys, last but not least, is my guy, is a guy from the Arizona Cardinals. He's a rookie wide receiver, and it's Michael Wilson. Now listen, the reason why I like Michael Wilson is because I know Kyler Murray has always liked to extend plays and push the ball downfield. I thought it was going to be Marquise Brown underneath and doing that, but I still think Marquise Brown is not big enough and a big enough target to help this offense keep putting up points. I think Michael Wilson being a contesting catch player like he was at Stanford is what Kyler Murray is going to be targeting down the field, kind of like he did with D-Hop. So you remember Kyler Murray made a lot of bombs where D-Hop would jump over 2 guys and play. So I believe Michael Wilson is going to be used in that area. So right now he's going through an injury and he's trying to get better. So stash him. People are off of him right now because they don't know what's going on in Arizona outside of Kyler and James Conner. So me and Trey McBride. But right now, I'm stashing Michael